Hello, people. This is Lee Cole. How you doing? I'm here with my partner, James Proctor, and friend, James. How are you doing today?
Hey Lee, doing really well. How are you this morning?
Oh gosh, James, with all this stuff going on, so much stuff going on in our genre. It's pretty incredible because it seems like this genre gets busier and busier every day. Joey Merlino had something to do with that. You have John Alite trying to be relevant again. You got people accused of being wearing wires and
Mm,
people calling them rats and saying coming up people putting out evidence on people being rats,
mm.
and it's like I want to ask you a question, James. Is everybody in America a rat now, or is it just the huge percentage of people?
Yeah, you got a point. One thing I wanted to mention about, I remember hearing people saying, in the summer, the genre's dead, and it's definitely not. It's just crazy the amount of interest. And there's a lot of reasons, including you having an appointment with Sammy Gravano. But as far as your question goes, yeah, it just seems like now everyone's calling each other rats, and so you know, or also it's interesting because you know, I don't know. It's just a little silly to me.
I don't know. Come on, spit it out, James. Say what you
Nah,
want to say.
it's just to me, it's just silly to me. It's this
Well,
whole
here's
Omerta
the,
thing is just silly
yeah,
because these folks aren't in that life, never were, and so they want to be gangsters behind a keyboard. So I just think it's just silly and dumb.
and you've had people in here for a while that have looked for rats or informants. And James, they have my whole criminal record out there. They put it out a long time ago. I'm sure that people checked up on you.
Yeah,
And one thing I would honestly say, you're not going to find out that Lee Cole was a rat. And you're not going
yeah.
to find out, well, I don't think you're going to find out James Proctor's a
No,
rat.
never.
It's pretty amazing though, because that's what the thing is. It's like, let's prove that someone's a rat. Let's check their criminal records. And who knows where this goes. But you see a lot of people being destroyed here. And I would say the best thing to do is if you are a rat, don't come in here going after people. If you're not a rat, that's one thing. But that's the big thing around here, the word rat, rat, rat. And a lot of us have deep, dark secrets that we don't want to know other people know about. So if
Mm.
we're coming on YouTube and we want to keep our secrets, you're in the wrong spot because you got some people
Yeah,
on here that will research the daylights out of you.
yeah. I mean, that's the issue. That once you become out here, you become known. Then there's people that they want to uncover. They want to expose. They just want to see if they can find anything. And so if one, you shouldn't be going after informants, rats, etc. If you are yourself. But the other thing is, if you do something, what I've seen is that if you've done something wrong, just apologize. I mean, we're a forgiving society. If you mean it and you want to change, but just trying to, the cover up is usually a worse sin than the
Yeah.
actual event.
And, and James, I was talking to somebody just recently about when Sammy Gravano flipped and became a rat.
Hmm.
He was on every newspaper. He was on the cover of every rat. He was the most hated human
Oh
being alive.
yeah. Yeah, it was
You know,
front page news in each of the those newspapers in New York back then.
nationwide. No, it was nationwide. It was
Nationwide,
absolutely
yeah.
nationwide. And New York had it a lot because he was a New Yorker, but it was a nationwide. It was on every channel.
And
Sammy
it's front
Gravano
page
and John
news.
got. And if Sammy Gravano can come here and now be accepted, anybody on this earth can be forgiven.
I know. That's the
Okay?
point I'm trying to make on this is that, time is all does heal wounds, but also it's if you ask for forgiveness and you change, then that'll happen. But in Sammy's case, he's never shown any remorse, and
Most of
he's
these, right? Most of these informants don't show any remorse. A matter of fact,
no,
they attack their victims. 90% of them. There are
yes,
some with no remorse, but in general, most of them don't.
Right.
And yeah, I have the right to talk about informants, whether people like me or not, because you know what? My name is Lee R. Cole III. My name has been pulled out of here 1,000 times. You'll see my arrest record. You'll see old warrants and stuff. You'll see everything you want to see on me, but
Yeah.
you won't see no evidence of ratting. So I can proudly say, as a former criminal, you know, James, when I first came on here, I was like, oh my God, I came on here. I used my real name.
Hmm.
It turned out to be the best thing I ever did because all my garbage came out.
Yeah. Well, that's my point too, is that, I feel like if you want to be transparent, you want people to relate to you, don't have an avatar or what do you call it? Like a pseudonym for your name, having your real name. I mean, and yeah, I know it can put you at risk as far as people going after you. And obviously the thing that is unfortunate are people going after families now. But, I think I'm with you, just having your real name and being authentic. I think that's what people like.
Yeah. And if you come in here with your real name and you do got stuff to hide, get the hell out of here because
Yeah.
they're coming after you. They're coming after you, and that's that. That's it. Well, okay. So we're going to go on to another, and people. We wanted to talk about that because right now that's a big thing in the mob genre with all this stuff going on,
Hmm.
and we're gonna stay out of it.
Yeah.
And whoever's they let them all cut their heads off of each other, but we're staying the hell out of it. We put our opinion, and our opinion is this: we're not rats, so we don't care what you guys do to one another. But we're going to talk about rats. Matter of fact, we're going to talk about two of them right now.
Okay.
There's this war going on all of a sudden. John Alite.
Hmm.
Now, see, one thing about John Alite. John Alite goes after other informants, and has been doing this for about 3 years
Okay.
that I know of, and I'm sure he's done it before then.
Hmm.
When he wants to be relevant. When I came into this genre, Jimmy Calandra was the big thing.
Hmm.
And so John Alite, Gene Barillo just went to jail. John Alite's show started dying. He was losing Patreon customers. I mean, he got down to like 20 at one time or something.
Mm.
So he had to be relevant. So he decided that he was going to go after Jimmy Calandra. And Jimmy
I remember
Calandra said,
that.
and Jimmy said, I'll box you. I'll fight you.
Hmm.
And John never replied back. He said he wanted to fight John Jr. Of course, he would say that. Why not go after the biggest guy
Yeah.
instead? But he wouldn't fight Jimmy Calandra,
Yeah.
and but Jimmy went after him. He countered back at him, and they were going at each other.
Hmm.
And I would say that was the first informant. Those two informants going at it.
Yeah, I remember that.
And this is what informants do, though. And now you have this thing. This guy right here, Anthony Ruggiano, was very close to John Alite. John Alite brought him onto the scene. Now, you don't talk about John Alite no more.
Mm.
But John Alite talks about him, and he's starting to talk about him. He stated that Ruggiano's easy for Sammy to use.
Yeah.
That's why he's using him.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
what do you think about that?
No, I mean, actually, I agree with that statement. If we talk about the statement, I believe that it is easy for Sammy to use Ruggiano because he's looking to get it's kind of interesting to me how he's wanting to be relevant, but I mean, I know that he's looking to cash in a little bit. I know that's part of it, but he's on all these shows now. He went on Michael's a year ago, Michael Francis, and now he went on Sammy. And so, he feels that it's going to build up his channel, his subscribers, all that. But I think that maybe he's Alite.
So maybe
right
Ruggiano's smarter than people are giving him credit for, because he's going to
Mm-hmm.
whoever's going to help him.
Yeah, that's what he's
He's
doing.
been doing that for 2.5 years. He started, Gene Barillo's related to him. Gene used to go out and look for people to interview him.
Mm.
And Ruggiano has a guy that's always charged money, no matter what.
Yeah.
You had to pay $300 to interview him at one time. Maybe that price is higher now. Who knows?
Yeah.
So John
Yeah, and
A.
I
Light
don't
says
have a
on
problem with him with that. That, you know, mine's
I know.
more the embellishment and all that. God bless anyone if they can get their channel to grow. I mean, I think there's enough room for all of us to grow, but you know, it's just I don't like the embellishments and we, you know, the thing is we're not making up this stuff on Ruggiano. We ask people that know. We go to the Gotti family, for example. We go to other people, other made guys in the life, asking that's not willing to come out publicly against him, that's saying that this guy wasn't what he said he was. But that's all I wanted to
Yep.
say.
Okay, and so I'm gonna play two videos. One's a short, and
Okay.
another video is a 4 to 5 minute video by American Made. Go to that channel, sub to that channel. I'm using his material,
Okay.
and he made this video. But I'm using it because of the way he made it. He made it perfect, not too long. I can play it and show you what's going on instead of just talking and being all over the place. First
Okay.
of all, this is a short that we put up, and I want to play this for you.
There's the difference. You got a guy that's pretending that he's this prolific killer, like the Mayo or Gas Pipe, or one of these guys who were serious killers, and these guys went out, or any of the Greg Scarpa. These guys were out on their own hand doing the work. Sammy would do or involved in one murder himself, and this is not me just saying. So somebody asked him that on his show. That's trial minutes. I believe he had 2 shootings that. For the people that are out there, he killed that young kid. That boy was 15 years old, and he killed him. So there is no explanation for child pornography or killing children.
Okay, now when he talks about, first of all, he's never talked about
The
Alan
kid's
Kaiser.
Alan Kaiser.
Right,
So.
right. I mean, so he's never talked about Alan Kaiser before. And now all of a sudden he's talking about Alan Kaiser. So it's obvious that he's trying to poke Sammy. And
well, I know that's what I mean, we've been talking about this. You've been talking about it for over 2 years, Alan Kaiser. And so now he's now jumping on the bandwagon on it. And that's what you asked Sammy about. So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Sammy, how you doing? It's good to see you.
And I just put that up because that's when I asked him about Alan Kaiser. So all of a sudden, this Alan Kaiser thing between me and Sammy, his son hitting me, it becomes a really big thing. Tons of views are coming in. And then John A. Light says, hey, this Sammy thing,
yeah,
I think. And I have no problem. The more stuff you put out there about Alan Kaiser, it doesn't matter how you're doing it, the more relevant it becomes.
Amen. I agree. And, I wanted to bring up one thing. We're not, I don't want to get off topic, but it is kind of interesting. We had a person that put a comment in the chat, in the video, and said, look at Sammy's, that would be his left leg, his right leg. He said, you don't know what he's got in that boot. So, I thought that was funny.
Yeah, but when you get to a certain age, though, it takes a lot longer to get to that boot.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, I can get hey, when I was 30, I can get to my boot in 2 seconds. Now I'm going to have to get my car and take a road trip.
But anyway, no, I just want to bring that up. But
and something else, and one thing that he said that is ridiculous, and I'm sorry, John A. Light, this is ridiculous. You said that Sammy only killed one person. First of all, you don't know that, okay? And second of all, he sat in the room and watched 3 men get executed with bullets in the head. To me, that's the same as pulling the trigger.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, 19 murders that he was involved with, and yeah, he didn't pull the trigger on. We know of 2 of Alan Kaiser, and then his first hit with the Columbos. We know about that, but he was in the room with them. I think Mikey Scar made a great point a few weeks back where he said that he really thinks that Sammy would get off on being able to see someone getting shot in the head or killed. It was saying that it just was something that was a sick part of his psyche that he enjoyed. I mean, you kind of noticed that when with that stupid Salvatore, movie that he did. That was just some pretty out there stuff of torture.
Yep.
But anyway, I just think that he was definitely involved in 19 murders, maybe
and
more.
we know true for a fact he was in the room when DiBernardo got shot.
Yes, he was.
He set him up, and he was in the room when Louis Melito got shot. He even says that, and he was probably in the room when that cowboy guy got shot.
Nicky Cowboy, yeah.
Nicky Cowboy, and also with Labatt.
Michael Labatt, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you're talking being in a room and watching men get executed is the same thing as pulling the trigger, because that guy's pulling the trigger at the order of Sammy Gravano.
And it was personal. It was personal to him. That's why he did it. Michael Labatt, Nicky Cowboy, Louis, Louis Melito. Those were people that crossed Sammy in his mind, and he wanted to see them killed. I know for a fact he wanted to see them killed, and
he even said that he has no regret or no remorse about Cowboy getting killed. He says that. And that guy was a member of the Rampers that grew up with him, along with Melito, those guys. And we're just trying to break down what John said in that short. And there's another thing John Alite said in that short. He said that Sammy dealt child porn. First of all, there's absolutely no evidence of that. But here's what he's talking about. When DiBernardo was killed, at that time he was under indictment. He was being charged. He was under indictment because they found child porn in the stores on Times Square that DiBernardo ran. That doesn't even mean DiBernardo put him in there.
Right.
But that's what the feds found. So there was an indictment coming down on him for that. He was already in court, and he was going back to court. So because DiBernardo was getting charged with that, and listen, I despise Sammy Gravano. I'm not standing up for Sammy Gravano, but John Alite saying things that just ain't true.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I talked to another person yesterday that despises Sammy Gravano, and she said to me the same thing. She said, I can't see that. So have we ever got any evidence of Sammy Gravano involved with child porn?
No. So what we've got is, Robert DiBernardo was involved in, and this better than me because you were in New York. You were in Times Square. And so he was, him, and there was another Colombo guy. They were both, and there was a Genovese guy too. But anyway, DiBernardo was very big in the porn industry, and he.
And let's call. I'm sorry. Let's call child CP. Let's call it CP. From now on.
CP. So CP was something that we saw. There's a New York Times article that I read about it yesterday, and so nothing is in there about Sammy Gravano. It's about him being investigated, being indicted, and then all of a sudden he disappeared. And so, he was killed. Sammy was interested more in the construction and the unions that DB was part of, more than any of the distribution of CP and P. My understanding is that the CP piece of it was more of the local people, the vendors that was getting a hold of that. It wasn't so much DB that was filming that or doing that, because anyone that knew him wouldn't believe that he would do it. But I mean, he was involved in porn itself, but I don't think.
Yes, he was. And the fact of the matter is, when there's several stores, and that place, and Times Square was full of these stores. But one second, let me pull this up. Well, you know what? Before I pull that up, you know what? No, actually, I'm gonna pull it up.
I don't think people understand. Like I've heard that I watched the thing on HBO a few years ago where they were talking about what the deuce is what they called it, and basically all the stuff at Times Square. That was some pretty dirty stuff, wasn't it?
I worked there. I worked in Times Square from the time I was 17 till I was 21. I have a story about that. I know Times Square like the back of my hand. I worked in the seedy old Times Square during the mid 70s until the early 80s. So I could tell you anything you need to know about Times Square. I was a runaway kid. I ran away to Times Square. The difference between me and other runaways is I got a job and I worked. Most runaways that went to Times Square ended up in very bad positions. I'm
Yeah,
just a lucky guy
victims. Yeah.
because I wanted to work.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me just so we got this up here, right? And this is the Times article, and it says DiBernardo and Rothsteins are officers of the Star Distributors, a company that federal prosecutors are investigating for involvement in CP. A search warrant was executed at the company's office by postal inspectors, according to an assistant United States attorney in Manhattan, Howard Weiss. He declined to discuss the case in detail, but authorities said the business cards and literatures were seized. A woman who answered the phone at Star Distributor yesterday said Mr. Rothstein is not available and could not answer any questions. And let's go further. When DiBernardo left his office on June 5th, Sergeant Flam said he got in his gray 1986 Mercedes-Benz and drove away. At about 2:45, he called his family on the car telephone and discussed a dinner date that he had that evening, the sergeant said. The family never heard from him again. The next day, the family made numerous phone calls trying to locate Mr. DiBernardo, the sergeant said. Then about 9:30 p.m. on Saturday, June 7th, the family called the Nassau County Police to report him missing. DiBernardo, described as 6 feet tall, 160. According to the family, the sergeant said he was a routine person, and that's a bad thing to be a routine person when you are well, he was a captain, I believe. He was a capo. He was a capo without a
crew. Yeah, he is a capo without a crew.
Okay, so we wanted that, and let me put up the next thing we're going to play. Okay, so DiBernardo leaves. He's under indictment. Rothstein's under indictment. His partner. Who knows how that child porn got in there? From what I understand, though, people that actually knew DiBernardo said he was not that type of guy. So we're going to be fair to him because he was not charged with it. He was indicted with it. Right. So I'm sorry, he was indicted on it, but he never
not convicted on it. Yeah,
he wasn't convicted of it.
Right.
Thank you, John. Okay, so let's pull up the next thing, and this is from American Made, and this is very well done. I like this. So here we go. We'll break this down a little bit as it goes on.
When I came home and I got out of prison, he threw me a couple of dollars right away. First guy. So I try to reciprocate by saying he's a good guy, he's a tough guy, he's this, he's that. You try to help him with a show and all that bullshit. Then he wanted me to come on and do certain things, and I didn't want to be bothered with that. I'm a truthful person. If I
can't hear you. Hey, Lee, we can't hear you.
So Sammy's a truthful person. Sammy, come on, please. Really? Yeah. You're not a truthful person. We can prove that 1,000 times.
Yeah.
So first of all,
I do something. Listen, I take credit for that. Or maybe that's not the word credit, but I take my responsibility for what I did. I mean, I got people that'll call me. I got people's kids that murders I'm involved, and I spoke to them. People's families, I spoke to them. This is what happened. This is what it was. This is what the truth is. Because a lot of them stuff they hear is lies.
The thing about Sammy
never got a hold of nobody to confess about no murders and no families. We know this. And Sammy, you say you're not lying, but you're lying about that. So you are lying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sammy is, he's famous for one reason. I mean, he's pretty famous. He's well known, and he's famous because he ratted on John Gotti. I mean, that's as simple as that. If it wasn't John Gotti that he spoke about, really, not too many people would know who he is.
John A. Light, what did John A. Light name his book?
Was Gotti, something about Gotti. You know,
Gotti rules.
Gotti boy, wasn't it? Yeah.
Gotti rules. Gotti rules.
Rules. Yeah, Gotti's rules. Yeah.
Come on, you're the book nerd here. You should know that.
Yeah, I know. There's Gotti's boys. There's Gotti's rules.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
that's
these,
the one
but yeah, it's Gotti's
So first of
rules
all,
for him.
so John Alite, you're full of crap. Okay. He became famous off John Gotti's name, but if anybody became famous off and John Gotti's name, it was you. The son, you put out the pictures where you're in them, and the father that you say that you know, and there's no evidence that you know him. So please, John, two guys talking a bunch of BS back and forth.
And he's a good liar. He's good at lying. And when he goes ahead and tells his story, he doesn't start from the beginning. At the beginning of Sammy's career, he wasn't around gangsters. He had no money. He was broke. He was in his 20s. He had really very small affiliation when he was younger. He was running around with some guys and gang members and whatever they were doing. Yeah, okay. He did kid shit. It's not impressing anybody. We're all on the street. And he really is a fraud. I mean, he's somewhat of a gangster. Don't get me wrong. When you're talking about...
See, this is what's irritating. John Alite is 1/100th the gangster that Sammy Gravano was. And he's here calling him a fraud.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is about Sammy's upbringing, he actually came from a good home, you know, his parents. And so, he was in the Rampers. He was, he definitely was involved in a lot of robberies and stuff. And so, but he was a kid at that time. So what do you expect? At that time, what would you expect from him at that age, So, he was a gangster. I mean, we've never denied that. We've never said he was a wuss or any of that.
He was the real deal. He was the real deal that became a government informant. That's what he was. Just like John. But the difference between Sammy being a government informant and John Alite, Sammy was a much better government informant. Would you say that?
Yeah, I mean, I know that Sammy was involved in. I know when you look at the government, when they talk about the type of witness that Sammy was on his trials, they said that he did a wonderful job. That he was, I believe, was going to do the Chin trial, one of the Chin trials. He did a couple of others. He wasn't involved as many trials like Mikey Scars, for example. But what I've heard about John Alite is that a lot of the people in the jury, especially in the John Jr. trial, I believe the fourth one that I can't remember which ones he was involved with, but they didn't really believe his testimony.
And then other trials came up where they did not believe his. There is no trial that came up where they did not believe Sammy Gravano. Right. That's because they knew that Sammy Gravano, John Alite, you weren't even an associate, and you're insulting a guy that was an underboss. This does not make sense. Okay, I despise Sammy Gravano. Sammy Gravano wanted me, literally had his son attack me. So if anybody should agree with you, it would be me, but I would be lying. You cannot say that Sammy Gravano was not the real deal. He lost his gangster card when he became a rat, but at that time, John Alite, you're not even in the same league with him. He wouldn't even give you the time of day in the street. He never seen you. He knows nothing about you when you were in the street. Nothing. Okay. I can't believe I'm sticking up for Sammy Gravano here. This is the first time I'm hearing this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
A gangster. I'm talking about what we said on the other show about Lucky Luciano. That's a well-dressed guy, right? Carries himself well. I'm going to start from each section. Sammy isn't a well-dressed guy, and he wasn't well-spoken. He wasn't very educated, and he's not a well-dressed guy. And that goes back to what we were talking about earlier. There's the difference between a smart guy like a Lucky Luciano who brought in anybody that was a gangster or stuff into an organization. And trust me, but Sammy doesn't understand. If John doesn't...
Okay. That picture right there. Is Gravano well-dressed?
I mean, I think he is there. He was
Yeah.
dressed well whenever he was
You've
around.
seen him well. Yeah, he's well dressed there.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, but he
And-
wasn't. But then, it's funny how people. There's kind of, what do you call it? This weird. There's a lot of weird opinions about this. So you see people that criticize John Gotti for dressing up like he did, where he looked like a movie star. Had $2,000 suits and everything, and then saying, "Oh, well, he's not a gangster because he, dressed up like." And then you have the other side that the same people will say, "Oh, well, Sammy Gravano didn't dress well. He wasn't a gangster." It's just silly to me.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, a lot of
Worry
gangsters
about
didn't
what
dress
people
up.
dress. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of guys. I'll guarantee you, a couple times a week he had a suit on, especially when he was
he
doing
did.
those union jobs.
Oh yeah, he did. He did. Sure.
Die, but doesn't go to jail. I was the Albanian that was going to kill him. I'm the guy that was going to make sure that Sammy didn't ever talk.
That part.
That part is so comical.
Yeah.
That's comical. So first of all, he didn't know John Gotti. He knew John Jr. And maybe he knew John Gotti by sight. Maybe he got within 100 feet of him, but he never sat next to him. I guarantee you that. And so now it's up. It's a new story out now. He was going to be the one that gets the contract and kills Sammy Gravano. James, do you believe that?
Yeah, I'd like to know what the year is that this was supposedly happened. I've never heard that before. I've never heard that from anyone that the Albanians or John Alite was going to take out Sammy. I know that we know the attempted, a half-ass attempt with Huck and Fat Sal, but they weren't even trying. So
and then you have John Alite, John Gotti there, and we're supposed to believe he had the Carniglia brothers. Were they ruthless killers, the Carniglia brothers?
yeah, we just did a couple of shorts on those. Those were tough. Yeah.
So John Gotti was saying, well, I'm going to let you Carniglia brothers rest up, and we're going to go get John Alite to do this.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
You could break these things down, but now John Alite's gotten so out of control trying to be relevant that he's saying things that just don't make sense.
I mean, based on history and everything, I've never, that's never came up. I'd like to know the year that this was supposedly going to go down. It sounded like what?
1991. No, John Alite's making sure that they were all out at the same time. They were in 1991, but at the end of 92, he got Junior sent him away. John Alite knows that. He's putting that date there in his head, and he's that. But it still doesn't matter. I couldn't care if he was where he was. It's not true. It's a lie.
Yeah.
So he can believe it, not believe it. I really don't care. But when he talks about putting in work, he did nothing. The rest of it is he's changing history. And, from what I understand, I don't watch Mikey Scar's shows, and I don't watch, and I heard Mikey Scars goes after him pretty good. So I don't know if he covered any of this, but I don't know if he fires back at Mikey either. And Anthony Ruggiano was a nice guy. He's just harmless, and he used him. He put him on the show, and does it bother me that Anthony went on? Of course it does. He was my friend, and it goes back to loyalty. He knows that the guy owes me money. He knows the guy talks nonsense, and if you're gonna go on there, you should have told him, listen, pay back the money, and I ain't going on the show, or and don't talk about the guy because you don't know anything you're talking about. And he's
okay. Well, we know that Ruggiano's not going to say that to Sammy Gravano, because Ruggiano's going to say, who can give me more? Who can offer me more? It's a business decision. Say you were Ruggiano. Okay. You're not okay. Just say you're not an informant. I don't want to call you an informant. So say you're Ruggiano and you're like sitting down and saying, I got to choose Sammy Gravano or John Alite.
Yeah. I mean, Sammy's got 572,000 subscribers. I don't know what Alite show has, you know, it was pretty big, but nowhere near that, you know, a tenth of that, maybe 50, 60, 70,000, maybe. But yeah, I mean, I would, you know, if you're looking at a business decision, yeah, I mean, you'd want to go on with Sammy Gravano. But, you know, if they were friends, you know, it seems like Ruggiano's not loyal to anyone, but are any of these guys loyal to anybody?
No. Ruggiano's loyal to Ruggiano.
But what about Alite? What about Sammy? Are they loyal to anybody?
Ruggiano's as bad as any of them. Ruggiano's probably worse because he started his channel off with "I love John Gotti, I love that," and then he went to the worst person in the world.
Right.
That when it came to John Gotti, Sammy Gravano. So yeah.
But my point is that all of these guys, they're not loyal to anybody, right? No. Is John Alite loyal to anybody?
Oh, absolutely. And let me ask you a question, James. So he said that you're not going to really get nothing from Sammy Gravano, right? So after I went out and seen Sammy Gravano, what happened to our show?
Yeah, I mean it's exploded. We've we just 1.1 million views in the last 28 days. That's just crazy. And in fact, in the last week, 500,000, and then we got nearly 900 subs in a week. I mean, it's just crazy to me. And then 2,100 in a month or whatever it is. And so, yeah, I mean, and that's been going on since September 5th when you.
It has not stopped to slow down, has it?
No,
it's gotten busier.
It's even getting busier. We put a Gene Gotti short up, and all of a sudden we kind of got this, just like another burst upward.
Oh yeah, it's like Gene Gotti that short's at 60,000. We got three shorts over 100,000. I mean, every short we put up is doing 10, 15, 20,000. Yeah. And but see, this is, you cannot compare the two. John Alite, it was when I started this channel, we went after John Alite. But the first person I ever went to after when I started my channel, the very first show was Sammy Gravano, not John Alite.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He's talking to me about kids because I'm doing all the talks at schools. I go, what you should do is talk to these kids in schools and everything. And his answer, and he can deny it or not, which obviously he's going to deny it. He says, fuck the kids. If they're too stupid to know and see for themselves, that's on them. And we have.
That sounds like something Sammy would say.
Yeah, that is exactly. But also kind of look at it this way. I mean, here's the deal with him. I mean, Sammy, I'll tell you this. I mean, I wish he would show remorse. If that was the only reason I would want to interview him, I'd like to see if I could get any sort of human side from Sammy, which I know it's not possible to get the human side, but wouldn't he be a fraud if he was going to schools and saying, kids, you better not go into, the mob? I mean, he's not going to do it, number one. And two, Sammy's there to make money. That's his whole purpose. And so, he's not going to, he doesn't care about kids or any of that.
He's already said he doesn't, he said that he doesn't have any, he doesn't want to, apologies for his life. He stated that.
Yeah, okay. He said he'd do it over again, do it all the same.
This is a guy that brought his family into a drug ring. I mean, he wouldn't care.
Definitely an evil guy.
He's an evil guy. He's an evil guy. That's what he is. A young Sammy Gravano would wipe John Alite off the face of the earth. And would I have drove up on Sammy Gravano when he was 40 in his prime? Hell no. It's that simple.
Right.
Unless I was in that life.
With you. Yeah.
And I was in that life and I was sent there to do that. But, otherwise, no.
But this is what causes the argument. And I said to him, you sound like an idiot talking like that. And he says, watch the way you talk. And I go, fuck you. Who the fuck are you? Thinking, watch the way I talk. I'll talk any way I want. He's broke. So he's constantly asking me for money because he's got no money for somebody. So finally I said, all right, I'll send you 3,000. I know he admits I gave him the 3,000. He owes me $3,000. That's the point. So he's got to pay me.
Business bad.
Okay. Okay. Once again, I will put the link to American Made underneath here, and this is the kind of work that American Made does, which you can see is good work. So what I like to say, it's funny, James, when you look at this stuff and you hear John Alite talking, he is so blatant. Do you think there's a jealousy there because he sees these guys now showing up on these Netflix shows and he's not there? They're taking him over John Alite now, and including the guys like low-level guys like Ruggiano and the woman and Giovanni, whatever her name is, and also police.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, probably. I mean, that is interesting. I didn't think about that until you brought it up about, there may be some jealousy. Sure.
And it's normal. It's jealousy between our show's doing well. We get attacked because people, they want to say, oh, your numbers are fake. You're not doing, we've been through this. But it's a jealousy thing. It happens. People that are insecure get jealous of other people and they attack. And this is what I believe Alite's doing now, because he's angry that he wanted to be part of Sammy. Sammy rejected him. And the reason that Sammy's not giving him his $3,000 back is because Sammy doesn't owe it. Sammy shouted you out. So is that, Jimmy Calandra went to see Sammy and Sammy shouted him out. God knows how much money was exchanged there. That's what Sammy does. He shouts people out. He shouted our show out, but the only thing we paid for is gas.
Yeah. Well, that's true. Yeah.
We paid for our own trip there.
Yeah.
Sammy gave us nothing.
No.
But you don't think that every time that Sammy shouts us out on his show, he's attacked me three of his last 4 shows on his show. I smile. That is publicity. That is what you want here.
Yeah.
And people will say, "Hey Lee, you want a rat call shout?" Yeah. Because
I think he even knows that. He even knows that. Even Sammy knows that.
The only time Sammy smiles is when he talks about me, Jared.
I know. That's what he does.
My son's a boxer, Yeah, so he's proud of his boy. His boy punched his 40-year-old boy punched a 63-year-old man in the temple. He's proud of him.
Yeah.
Hey, God bless him. Hey, listen. If Gerard can arrange it for me, I will drive out there again and let him hit me in the other temple.
But Sammy knows about that as far as talking about how, that it helps and people's shows. But yeah, the 3,000, that's a shame. But if I don't know what to say about that. I know that he's also upset that there wasn't any condolences, and I feel awful about what happened to Alite's daughter. I mean, that's horrible and just sad. But yeah, he didn't send any condolences. But then again, when you think about people, why would he?
Sammy killed people. He don't condone this. He had his friend shot right in front of his eyes while he was sitting across from them.
Yeah.
Why would he send condolences? He had his kids deal drugs.
Yeah. He doesn't have any decency.
He threatened to kill his son's girlfriend. He put a gun to his son's head.
Yes, he did.
He dealt ecstasy. He created one of the biggest drug rings in Arizona. It was taking off, and he probably would have lasted a couple more years if he didn't get stupid with his wife on a wiretap, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is what doesn't make sense. It's like Sammy's his own worst enemy, but Sammy's out of prison. The worst rat ever is out of prison, sitting in the place where he dealt drugs, Arizona, and got arrested and did another 17 years in prison. And then he even had the balls to go back to the place where he dealt drugs.
I know. It's just crazy.
Sammy don't give a hoot. He don't care. Okay, so people, just so you know, please subscribe, hit the like, and please hit the reminder bell. If you hit it on your phone, there's other things that you got to do to make sure it stays. Because the reminder bell, a lot of people will say they don't get reminders for the show. But that's all over YouTube because a lot of people do that. If you can hit the reminders button, do it on your tablet or your computer if you can. But if you do it on your phone, there's a couple steps you got to take to make sure it stays like that. Just so you do know. And so, and if you want to donate to the show, the Cash App's right there. And if not, no problem. And also, we have a Angel Gotti just gave her daughter just gave birth, and we put up some great stuff in the hospital with another Gotti in the world.
Yeah.
And we're doing more stuff. We're doing a show tomorrow for Patreon, and we are putting up more stuff. We'll be putting up more stuff on the baby and baby's birth and stuff that nobody's seen yet. So if you want to go to Patreon and join, there'll be a link below here, or you can just go to Patreon and put Angel Gotti in, and the show will pop up. And James is on that with me, Marla Egger, and Angel.
Yeah.
Okay. And, also, please subscribe to our wrestling channel. Yes, wrestling channel too, because we are fools and we want to stay busy.
Yeah.
We're just bored old men. And,
I wanted to thank everyone for getting us to 1,000 subscribers. So that was, we're way over it now, and thank you. So I think there was a couple of people we're sending a gift out, a little gift of appreciation. If you let us know who you were, I think there was.
They did, and I'll get that to you, James.
Okay. Okay. So we're very thankful for that. We just put up a short on there yesterday, and then we're going to be starting our lives, I believe, a week from this.
Well, we're going to do one probably Wednesday or Thursday, and then we're going to do one Saturday at midnight. We're going to start doing 2 shows on the wrestling channel because we're starting there. It's birth. We're just building it up.
We had a lot of fun on our live, didn't we?
We only had 25, 30 people, but they stayed, and it was fun. And because I've been on lives where I've had 600, 700.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But we don't do that many lives here with the Mob channel anymore. People, believe it or not, like it like this.
Mm-hmm.
But please go to that, and we'd appreciate it. A sub, hit the reminder there, and we're going to be doing consistent shows on regular nights. We know that one of them is going to be midnight on Saturdays, and probably Wednesday or so.
Yeah.
Probably like 6 p.m. We'll give you an exact time, and we're going to stick with those times so we have some consistency on the wrestling channel. Yeah. James, is there anything else you'd like to say before we say goodbye?
No, I think that's it. Just I really appreciate everyone's support, comments. Just I love the just the engagement, and a lot of smart people out there. It's just a lot of fun to see this level of interaction, engagement, and we don't really have a lot of bad people in our comments, and we'll leave up the comments even if they are bad. But we got
there's lots of bad people. So people go after me. They like James. They think James is a guy. They think I'm evil. So what they do is they say, "Oh, here's what they usually say. Oh, I like James, but Lee, go to hell." And,
God.
And you know what I tell them, James?
What?
You can tell me whatever you want as long as you keep coming back and watching our videos and writing. If you write in the chat and tell me to go to hell, it's fine. Okay. And also, we have started this. Okay, we put up about 2 to 3 shorts a day, and we're doing our mob history through shorts. And we got a lot of stuff up there, people. Really good stuff. And if you go look at one of them, you're going to be addicted, and you're going to want to stay there and look at all of them. And also, we are putting classic mob pictures up on our community page. I have people sending me these pictures. Some of these pictures have never been seen before.
Exactly.
Over there and take a look. And if anybody here wants to send me or James, and you could email it to us. And our email is I'll put that up, but it's Lee Cole Podcast with an S @gmail.com.
Yes.
You can get a hold of me there. And also we got TikTok. Oh God, we got everything now. TikTok, we've been putting up every day on TikTok, and we're picking up, or we're getting busier and busier on TikTok. Go to TikTok, please. Subscribe to TikTok. That'll be underneath here, the link. And James, that's it.
Yeah, a lot going on.
We're doing too much, man.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm having a great time. People,
I am
thank you
too.
so much. James, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And we'll be putting out a show again shortly. Bye.